Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to the Viper Bite Network. Tonight we're going to be reviewing what I call a survival budget knife combo set. And this combo set will run you around $50 total if you purchase both the knives from Amazon. The review this evening is going to be of the Schrade SCHF26 Extreme Survival Knife and the Schrade SCHF16 Tactical Neck Knife. So this review will just be a first impressions review, and I have a camping trip scheduled here in about a month, so I will do a actual field test review at that time. So let's go ahead and get started. First with the Schrade SCHF26. That's a box it comes in. Let's get these out of the way. Alright, as you can see, this knife comes with a nylon ballistic sheath with a front pouch also on it, and the front pouch is quite large. I currently have my Smith's knife sharpener in there. I believe it will also fit a ferrium rod in there as well. It's a pretty good sized pocket. It is a Velcro closure, no snap. It has a couple of eyelets here at the bottom for you to run some paracord to lash to your thigh when you're carrying it, if you choose to do that. And straps to you via belt loop. This belt loop is not detachable, and I know a lot of people, including myself, like that for a sheath. The knife is held in place with a Velcro top loop. A lot of people don't like that either. They would prefer a snap. I haven't worn this enough yet to really see if I think it's going to be an issue or not. The last part of the sheath, this ballistics nylon, it does have a plastic liner in it to keep the knife from cutting the nylon itself. So, you know, for a $35 knife, that's what this costs on Amazon. I think just a little bit less. It's not a terrible sheath. It's what I would consider a budget value sheath. All right, let's move ahead to the knife. The knife overall is 10.8 inches long, and as you can see right here, I'll line it up. It's about 10 and 5/8 or so, so it's pretty close. The handle is 5.4, and they're saying the knife blade itself is about 5.4. So if you go from about here to here, I'd say that's about 5. And the knife itself is a little bit longer than 5. So their specs are a little bit off on that. It is made from 8CR13 MOV, which is a high carbon stainless. It is a type of high carbon stainless you find on a lot of budget knives. Sharpens up pretty well, and it holds its edge pretty well. It's not the best steel out there, but once again, this is a budget type knife, so it's still a good stainless steel. The handle is made from TPE rubber, and if you can see there, it does have some design in it, almost like a checkering, and it's got a lot of friction to it. So I usually wear gloves when I'm using this out in the field if I can. So, you know, this does have a lanyard for you to wrap around to keep it in, but I don't think that's going to be too slippery, especially as you start to sweat a little bit. We'll see in the field test. It does have a lanyard hole here, as I was saying, and a pummel, so you can get a good slam on it. I'm not going to do my kitchen table because Missy would probably be pretty upset at that, but it looks like it could definitely crack something. The blade itself is 230 thousandths thick, so it's just under a 1/4 inch. It is full tang. You can see there, that's a pretty thick blade. The blade weighs in at just a little over 13 ounces, the total knife does. So it's just under a pound, and it's a good feeling knife. Its balance point is just past the handle here, and that's what I would expect with this type of knife. Now, for those people who like the baton, which you could use this knife for, we tend to like a little more weight in the blade, and you probably get that if this blade was longer to help with the whipping action when you're batoning with it or when you're chopping. Actually, more when you're chopping. Up here on the spine does appear to be 90 degrees, so I would expect that you should be able to get some sparks off a ferrium rod pretty easy with it. Up here, this is a little bit of a negative, you can see that grind here. There is a little bit of a flat spot, but with a batoning stick, after a while, I would say that's going to start beating up your batoning stick pretty bad, but we'll see in the field test. It does have jimping here on the spine, jimping here, and it is raised. It's aggressive up here on the handle, and then on the bottom of the handle, it also has more jimping. So, like I said, it feels pretty good in the hand. You do that if you need to do some fine work with it. Here's one way you can tell this is a $35 knife. I'll have Missy zoom in on this. But if you look right up here, you can see where they didn't quite finish the TPE all that well. I could take a razor, I guess, and trim it, but probably won't. Another thing, why she's zoomed in here, and this is something that, to me, and you see this usually on custom knives, or on more expensive where they put a little choil right in here. See where the blade comes down, because a lot of people have trouble sharpening when it ends right into the rest of the metal. However, this looks like it's just a hair lower, so that'll be interesting to see when I go to sharpen it, if I'm able to get back there that far. It does say that this is a hollow grind, although I am seeing a secondary bevel in there, so I wouldn't really consider this a true hollow grind. Overall, the knife feels good. Came out of the box sharp. Although I think I'm not going to do a hair test here. I think I could probably get that sharper, but I do want to do a test the way it is out of the box, so I'm not going to sharpen it before I do that. If you ever do want to change the scales, these are bolted in. You can see that with a hex. So it's pretty solid. Feels like a nice heavy knife. There's no doubt you've got a knife in your hand. The handle back here, one thing that I do like, some of the Schrade Extreme Survival knives actually have the little curves for all your fingers, and I don't really like that, because I like to position it differently depending on what I'm doing with it, and that's why I chose this one, and I think it was a little bit smaller. I didn't want some of the other bigger ones. So that's about it on the first impression review of the Schrade SCHF26. Like I said, here in about a month, I plan on doing a field test with this. But overall, first impression, $35 knife, I'm pretty impressed with it. So let's move on to the next knife, and that is the Schrade SCHF16 tactical neck knife. And I actually consider this to be even a little bit different than a tactical knife, although unlike the SCHF26, which is a drop point blade, this one they're saying is what they call a reverse Warncliffe, or with a Tonto. So there's no doubt I could definitely do some puncturing with that sharp point with that. This material on this knife, though, let's go to my reference notes, is 9CR18 MOV, which is another budget stainless type material. It has G10 handles, and you can see in here that it has some grooves cut in there. Grips pretty darn well, though. Grips pretty well. I like this choil right here. It's also got some jimping up here, some aggressive jimping. And this is what I was saying. If you want to do some finer work with this choil, you can easily, pull up on this knife to do that. It does have a pretty thin point. You might be able to do some drilling with that for like a bow drill or something like that. But I think it's a overall pretty good knife. It does have a lanyard hole here with another pummel if you wanted to pummel with it. So, overall it looks to be like it has the potential to be a pretty good little camp knife to do some of the finer bushcrafting work. And like I said, it's a neck knife. They're saying that the overall handle length is 4 1/4, and the overall length is 7 inches, and the blade is at 3 1/8. The thickness on this is right at, I believe it's about 120 thousandths thick. So it's just under an 1/8 inch. If you remember when I talked about the SCHF26, where I said the end of the blade actually comes up to the, you can see how this one has a little choil kind of cut into it there, little cut, so that you can sharpen this blade all the way back. This is a flat grind. Okay. Plain type. And as with the Schrade SCHF26, this F16 or SCHF16 is also made in China. So for any of you that prefer to buy American made, you may not consider this to be of value. You can pick this knife up for about 15 bucks on Amazon. And it also has a way using Torx, should you ever want to change out the scales. Let's go and talk about the sheath a little bit. The sheath here is a Kydex sheath. Like I said, it is a neck knife. It does have these lashing eyelets on this side. It does not have lashing eyelets on this side. I wish they had done that so you could easier to lash to a pack. But one thing I have seen on another review online is somebody took a zip tie and they ran it, a pretty thick one, and they ran it from here to here, and then that way they could hold it on their belt, which I thought was a pretty good idea myself. I might try that, but because I'm not real big on wearing knives around my neck. And the weight of this is about 4.6 ounces, so a little over 1/4 pound. So I don't know, that could be uncomfortable for some people. Now, one of the problems when this knife first came out was that it clipped into it was very hard to pull out of the sheath. This one does not have that problem. But what I have noticed is, can you hear that? Rattles a little bit, so maybe some paper or something in there for somebody who's all trying to be stealthy, for when the zombie apocalypse hits and you don't want the zombies here and you come trouncing through the woods. Sorry, just had to hit on all the zombie folks there. It is a little noisy, but I didn't think it was terrible. So overall, though, I think pretty good value. Like I said, this knife about 15 bucks on Amazon, and so if you got this, the F16 and the F26, as a combination for you for a survival knife kit, or a even just a good all-around camping knife combo. It's less than $50, and I'm sure most of you are like me. Every dollar counts, and no, these aren't the high quality custom knives that we all know and all wish we had a closet full of. But I think it's pretty good value, and I'm going to really enjoy testing these out. And once I do, I will definitely post another video. That's about it. Please subscribe to the channel. You can see the Viper symbol in the upper right-hand corner of your screen there. Appreciate that. And please go ahead and make any comments. If you've owned these knives and you have anything good or bad to say about them, I'd sure appreciate that. And thank you for watching. And please come back, and I'll be posting more videos on gear and camping and some survival items in the future. Thank you. Take care. Have fun. Enjoy life.